Hey there, and welcome back to some Elden Ring. We're going to try and help out Hyetta in this one. As you know, we know she's been trying to find some distant light. She wants to be a finger maiden, but she's been eating these eyes, and they call them Shiburi grapes. Now, they're not grapes at all. They're eyeballs that are like on the verge of rupturing, and they're like sickly or kind of burny or something, right? And we know that they have some kind of tie-ins with the Flame of Frenzy, maybe, because there are items we can get from some enemies that are basically ruptured eyeballs that, were grapes, but, basically burst before they were like truly ripe or went too ripe. And so we know that it has some tie in there. And the Flame of Frenzy has something to do with Three Fingers, Madness, Shiburi, and the Shiburi guy. There is an item we could have chosen at the beginning that has a crazed likeness of a noble, which is like eyes gouged out. It draws the attention of enemies, etc., etc. Now, this kind of path we're taking right here doesn't actually have anything to do with it. We're just kind of walking right now. But I think we're going to find some stuff here very soon. Oh, a Spiritcaller Snail. Oh, and look what it calls in. Alright, so I wasn't going to show anything in this dungeon, but I forgot that this was like the boss. Now, this looks like a Crucible Knight, but is obviously different than the ones we've seen before. The couple we've seen have been big sword and shield looking ones, and this one has a spear as well as a big horned helmet, where the other ones didn't have that. They just had a kind of large like blade looking thing, but this one is doing some of the other things. Now, Spiritcaller Snail, we've seen some snail-like things before, only they were crystally. Look how like just kind of fleshly and wobbly this one is. Spiritcaller. So when we were kind of speculating, do those things kind of imitate or take on aspects of their like environment? It seems like the answer is probably yeah. So maybe this one is a Spiritcaller one because it's been living in this catacomb where there's, spirits and death. Pretty cool. Glintstone Sorcerer Ashes. So we got a few things in this thing that we'll kind of touch on, right? 2 ashes and a weapon. So first one we got was the Rhea Lucaria Soldier Ashes. It's a trio of spirits consisting of 2 disposable foot soldiers and their superior. This is actually a very solid ash. Like, as far as like simple ones go, this one's really good. Soldiers of Rhea Lucaria were also known as the Cuckoos. They were given free reign by the Academy to wage war as they pleased, and they were infamous for their rapacious ways. So they were not good, apparently, after the Academy just like let them loose to do whatever they wanted. Now, the Glintstone Sorcerer, right here, spirit of a Rhea Lucarian sorcerer wearing a stone crown, a scholar of the Olivinus Conspectus who has mastered the use of the Glintstone Stars sorcery. That's it. That's not very exciting. But we did get this weapon, and it is the Watchdog Staff. A large stone staff embedded with glintstone, which we've seen in the boss fights before, and they summon little like some kind of glintstone stuff. So like just like a staff, that has glintstone at the top, enabling like casting. Only this one doesn't do true casting. It just does a quick little ability thing. Wielded by the Erdtree Burial Watchdogs who protect the catacombs. The Watchdogs, battered and broken over their lengthy tenure, rule the catacombs and are even said to command the imps. And you can get the sorcery of the Crozier, which I gotta look up what that word means. I don't know what it means. A hooked staff carried by a bishop as a symbol of pastoral office. Okay, interesting. All right, now that our little like extra side pit stop is done, we can kind of keep exploring and like really trying to figure out where the heck we can find this Shiburi grape. And we find ourselves a ghosty guy. What's he have to say? Ah, the poor fellow gone perfectly mad. Love, revenge, the frenzied flame melts it all away. Okay. He's kind of facing this way. Somebody went mad with love, revenge. But the frenzied flame will take it all away, I guess. And there's a body right here. And it is a body of a misbegotten. And we haven't seen any misbegotten since, way down on the Weeping Peninsula. And there's more of them. There's looks to be a trail, because it takes us up here into the woods, it looks like. And we can see just a tiny little hint of where some grace would be. All the way in. Lots of items. Side of Grace. Dead body. Edgar the Revenger. Alright, so this is different. So we had fought... we didn't fight him. He was our ally. Castellan Edgar. Alright? Back down in Castle Morn. Only now he's invaded us. Like, why did he invade us? And the only thing I can think of... There's a couple things, right? One, that ghost said, poor fellow gone perfectly mad. Love, revenge, right? So... there's all these bodies of those misbegotten. So he's been killing them because he said, I'd hunt them down. I'll kill every last one of them. All that, right? So he's been running around taking out misbegotten. And maybe he's just gone mad. And that's why he has, invaded us. It's because he's just crazy. There's another thought I had too, because now he is the Revenger. And we have that grafted greatsword, which is a Revenger's weapon. So maybe he's trying to kill us to get that weapon because he is now a Revenger, right? Though I'm kind of leaning more towards the idea that he's just gone plumb crazy. And what do we get? The Shibiri Grape. Shibiri Grape, a Banished Knight Halberd, raw meat dumplings, raw meat dumplings. So that Banished Knight Halberd is a finely crafted halberd, intricately engraved with an ancient motif, given to knights who, whether by misfortune or misdeed, were forced to abandon their homes, and most of the knights were sent to the fringes where they were forced to start anew with only despair for their company. Now, right, because he is a Banished Knight, and it is a very cool halberd. I do really like this one, even if some of the tracking on the, thrust gets a little jank. But... he was a Banished Knight. He was a little different. His armor was shaped, had a slightly different design to it, but he definitely had the appearance of the Banished Knights. He worked for Godric. That all fits. Then we got ourselves that Shibiri Grape. So he, had gone mad. So we can give that to the Blind Maiden. And it is interesting that, the Revenger Shack. It's interesting that, he gives you the Shibiri Grape, and he's upset because his... daughter died because he was performing his duties and prioritized them over his daughter. And now we're helping this Blind Maiden who looks a lot like his daughter and is also blind like his daughter, right? There's a lot of parallels here. Yeah, so this light she's going to is not good. Like, she's being, misled. And we're not really helping the situation because we're giving her these grapes. She's trying to become an actual, finger maiden, actually serving the 2 fingers. And this thing seems to have some tie-in with 3 fingers and madness, which is just not right.
Oh, many thanks to you. Now I can feel the distant light once more. That aside, I wonder what Shibiri grapes really are. Delectably tender and sweet, yet searing. What a sight they must be to behold.
And we're going to tell her. Because I guess she doesn't know.
No. That's not possible. Not all of those people. Their own... So those noises I heard were... Sorry. I'm alright now. Don't mind me.
So she talks about how some, we're different from the others that come. They, wizard hands, kind of soundless howling that touch her eyes and give her the grapes, right? And so it seems like they've been, plucking their own eyeballs out to give them to her and helping to guide her as well. We're not the only ones giving her these grapes. Yep.
I apologize. You only did as I asked. I'll be fine.
Think no more of it. Got it.
Apologize. I'll be fine.
All right. So now the question is she going to continue on her quest? Will she continue seeking this distant light to become a finger maiden? Or has this truth about what she's been consuming dissuaded her? Maybe resting and we talk to her. Maybe we'll find out.
Is that you over there?
Yeah.
I've gleaned something very important indeed, thanks to you. The reason why it was eyes I had to eat. The distant light is far and frail, so faint it can't be seen by the naked eye. But with everyone's eyes together, it appears. Finally, it all makes sense. I'm certain now. I will be a finger maiden.
All right, so she basically justifies it by saying it's a distant, weak light. She's blind. They need eyes in order to see it. You know, line their mind with eyes.
Gleaned something I'm certain.
All right, and she's still intent on becoming that finger maiden. So if we rest again, we'll see if she's still here or if she has moved on to another spot. And if it's anything like all the positions she's been going along, she will have moved further north along the lakeside. Yep, she's gone. So now we need to traverse along. Maybe we'll find her here. Maybe she'll be somewhere else further along, right? We found... Look at this place. There's a spot in Limgrave as well, and I don't remember if I actually stopped to show it off. But the spot was just like lightning striking and foliar bloom, a material for us. And yellow flower that grows in lightning-struck lands, imbued with traces of lightning's essence. Super weird. Like, what? Why? Because it doesn't even explain it, right? It's just like, oh, this is where there's just lightning flowers here in this lightning-struck land. Because... Hey, here's another bewitching branch. It's been a while since we looked at it, right? It's a tree branch blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold. It's a craftable item. You pierce a foe using your FP to turn them into a temporary ally. The Empyrean Mikola is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection. So, right, we've heard of Mikola before. We're going to go and purchase one of them too. Also, Rift Shield, depicting a sinister rift. Is that supposed to be like the jails? Like they have a rift on the ground? Antiquated charm that glares back at an enemy. It boosts focus. Anyways, right? A tree branch. So maybe it's a tree branch from Mikola's Halig tree. An incantation of unalloyed gold. So I wonder what the significance is of it being unalloyed. I guess because it's like pure gold. Now, an interesting thing to kind of connect there now, because there are a bit of some tie-ins with like alchemy in the game and stuff, and like all the you know, design choices and whatnot. When we look at like what the Erdtree was, because Erdtree has a lot of tie-ins with gold. You have this. It says the red tinge mirrors a primordial matter, it's not just gold. It's like a red, maybe a red tinged gold, which is like a rose gold, and rose gold is an alloy of so it's an alloy made from a combination of pure gold and copper. So it's an alloy, which kind of makes sense if we think about like what the primordial crucible might have been, where it's a mix, you know, it's everything. It's where it all originated, all forms of life. So, you know, it would make sense that it wouldn't just be pure gold. It would be a mixture, that rose color. And yeah, let's move on. We're here now, the Bellum Church, where there's a statue of Radigan, and we find Hyetta again.
Hello. Is that you over there? Have you ever heard of fingerprint grapes? They're special grapes which only grow on those who've been clasped by the burnt fingers. I would truly love to try one. The distant light seems far closer than before, but I can't sense a thing from the usual grapes anymore. Please, could you donate a fingerprint grape to me? Without one, I don't know. I feel like I might go mad.
Yeah, at least you didn't laugh at the end of that. Lots of golden centipedes for some reason. So she traveled really far this time. Like, she went from down there all the way up here. But she's apparently been getting more regular grapes. Not from us, but they're not doing anything anymore. So she needs a more potent one. Something that's been a fingerprint grape from somebody who's been clasped by the three fingers. So literally touched by them. And I mean, we've seen a physical two fingers before. So now this is telling us that there are a physical embodiment of the three fingers. So we need to try and find that for her. Oh, look at that. All right, so wandering around, right? There's no clues to really tell you where to go to find this fingerprint grape. Now, if you are already on the quest, like, you could say, like, all right, like, take this sign right here, like, rats doing the frenzy stuff. That immediately would tell you there's crazy stuff going on. And if you don't have the quest line, like, you're not following stuff for Hyetta, you would just be like, all right, there's crazy things here. But if you are tracking it and you're like, okay, I'm trying to help her, now you're like, okay, if there are madness rats over here, I must be on the right track, right? You can use the enemies and the environment that you find to give you clues on where you need to go. And here we go. We have even more rats that are frenzied up. And again, it's kind of strange to me that like the rats can be like frenzied when it's on the like mechanics of it. It's only humans who can be afflicted by the madness. Whoa, and look at that thing. There's a crazy blazing Eye of Sauron up there. Now, if we walk out into it, it's going to start building up madness onto us. Oh, maybe not. Hey, why is it not? It's not working on me right now. Oh, there it goes. We got ourselves a yellow ember. That makes sense because that's from somebody whose eyes burst from frenzy. Circle around. We find a tower. That's where it's coming from. We saw a brief glimpse of some dudes up at the top. We're at the Frenzy Flame Tower. I should not have tried to, what's it called? Attack. There we go. Let's finish him off. Ah, madness. That also costs us some FP, which can be annoying. Also does a nice chunk of damage. Alright, we're going up. And there we are. We've got a whole bunch of dudes. 6 of them. And they're just wordlessly standing there. They're not reacting to us. It's not until they really, like, see us that they actually do anything. I need to heal because that could be bad. And even with one, it looked like the flame would still happen. And now it's gone. Just like that. What the heck was that, right? Like, it's crazy. You know? The Howl of Shabriri, originating from the maddening 3 fingers, releases a maddening shriek that causes madness buildup in foes nearby, and it also builds it up in the caster and makes enemies more likely to target them. It is said that the sickness of the Flame of Frenzy began with Shabriri, the most reviled man in all history. So what did he do, right? And in the talisman, it depicts a guy with his eyes gouged out, right? At least if I'm remembering it right in the beginning item descriptions when you can choose to get that item. Now, up and away from that tower, here's a site of grace, and you can see there's a building. There's all kinds of like walls and structures, and I mean, it makes sense when you look at this, right? You can see there's walled sections. There's some kind of buildings and stuff. Maybe a path you could follow, and another large building up at the top. See, this name of the grace will maybe kind of like give us a clue on what we're dealing with here. The Frenzied Flame Village outskirts. So another like one like we've seen down in the Weeping Peninsula. Only this one's a bit larger, and it's got a big old wall. Did they build the wall to keep people out? Did somebody else build the wall to keep them in? Maybe it was already just a fortified settlement, and then it became afflicted by the Flame of Frenzy. I'm kind of leaning towards that direction. You don't really have any guards that have... man, I don't know why I'm dropping frames like crazy right now. Oh. And the other one, you know, there was a shield saying, you know, like guards or soldiers would wear that or use that shield to warn people away. So I imagine it was guards that were like trying to keep the place under control, and they use that shield so that when people see them with it, they're like, oh yeah, I shouldn't go near where you're at because there's the Flame of Frenzy's there, and that's really bad. Frenzied Cookbook 1. A record of crafting techniques left by those afflicted by the madness of the Flame of Frenzy contains things, gives us clarifying boluses, which is a thing we can use to reduce madness in ourselves. There they are. Yellow boluses made of cave moss. Madness accumulates slowly, inflicting damage, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, nothing fancy to tell us here, but we'll make some. Because it might be a good idea to have some on hand, right? And look at that. Soldiers, Rael'Karian soldiers, but if we get a glimpse at their eyes, look, they've got the Flame of Frenzy going on with their eyes. So did they come here trying to like kind of quell it? Were they trying to do something else, and then they got like corrupted? You know, that can be the only thing I can think of, is that they came here to like maybe subjugate or deal with a problem, and then ultimately they just like went mad. Or did they go mad and then find their way here? Shibruri's woe. There's the talisman we've been kind of referencing so much. Disturbing likeness of a man whose eyes have been gouged out. The corners of his mouth are upturned in an almost flirtatious manner. Constantly attracts enemies' aggression. It is said that the man named Shibruri had his eyes gouged out as punishment for the crime of slander, and with time, the blight of the flame of frenzy came to dwell in the empty sockets. So, the most reviled man in history, but the punishment for the crime, his crime was slander? Like, that must have been some pretty bad slander if he was the most reviled man in history, right? Like, he better have been saying some awful things. And it does seem like then he didn't go crazy and, be the source of the flame of frenzy until after his eyeballs were gouged out. Like, he might have been maybe a dick before, but he wasn't a crazy dude. Continuing up the hill, there's a thing to do over here on the side as well, but we're gonna focus right here on the main task at hand. There's a ghost. What does he have to say? Ah, Lord Vyke. It seems that you were no lord at all, after all. Then where is he, our true lord, our lord of frenzied flame? We beg of you, incinerate all that divides and distinguishes. Ah, may chaos take the world. So Vyke. He says he wasn't a lord after all. Where is their true lord? Festering fingerprint Vyke. That's a different, kind of like title as far as invaders go than we've had so far. Now this is a guy who's mentioning, and we can't really see. It's hard to see. Oh, I messed up. See, I told you I was gonna pay the price for my stupid blocking. Yeah. So here he is, and he's doing a bunch of frenzy stuff. Obviously, his name is Fingerprint Vyke. Now that ghost says he was no lord after all, so implies that he was maybe a candidate for this Lord of Frenzied Flame, maybe. Except he just wasn't worthy. He messed up. Like, something went wrong, right? Oh, pull him back a little bit. Now, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see him with the red flame and him just being kind of like the way he is as far as like battling and stuff. You gonna come get some? I'll eat another one of these. Why not? Ah. I haven't bled him once yet. Oh, I messed up the roll. Get me out. Oh, you tried to howl me. Good try, bud. There we go. Took him out. Okay. There's our fingerprint grape and Vyke's war spear. Now, by getting a fingerprint grape from him, that tells us that he was clasped by the three fingers. And since he was maybe some kind of candidate for this Lord of Frenzied Flame, he is definitely like kind of a big deal, right? Let's take a look at his war spear real quick, which is an awesome one. I remember getting that for the first time. It was so cool. It's a war spear singed and blistered by fingers used by Vyke, Knight of the Round Table hold. Like Vyke himself, it has been tormented by the yellow flame of frenzy from within. All right, so it confirms, he met the three fingers, but he was a Knight of the Round Table hold. He was a tarnished like us. And then, just like that dude, or just like Vyke, it's been tormented by the yellow flame of frenzy from within. So he's been tormented by it. And here it is, fingerprint grape, eyeball of the Knight Vyke, inflamed yellow, seared with a repulsive fingerprint burn akin to those that marred his entire body. If offered to the blind maiden, it will lead her to the source of the distant light, allowing her to become a finger maiden. Now, why was he here? I mean, I guess it could be because it's a whole Frenzy Flame Village. Did it become a Frenzy Flame Village because of him, though? Or did he come here because it was a Frenzy Flame Village? And we've got the Church of Inhibition, all right? Which is what? To, not, hold back your... Or no. Am I backwards? Yeah, inhibition. Feeling that makes one self-conscious and unable to act in a relaxed and natural way. You're right. Yeah, because when you lose your inhibitions, you become relaxed. Yeah, so this is a church of, I don't know, not being comfortable. But what do we have here? We've seen somebody like this at the very beginning of the game. And that brooch, look at the brooch around her waist. That's like the same as the one that you find that Hyetta is wearing around her neck, like up at the top. She has some items. Finger maiden robes and things. Robe worn by maidens who serve the two fingers. The maidens live to serve a chosen tarnished, sharing their guidance and the wisdom of the two fingers. The guidance of grace would ensure that the pair be brought together, or at least such was a promise long ago. Oh, so if you had the guidance of grace, you should have been able to, like, it would take you to your finger maiden to help guide you along with the grace, like extra guidance, right? So why was she here? Was she here because, like, something... Well, if he was a tarnished, right, he should have had a maiden. Would that have been his maiden, potentially? Could that be why he was at this spot? Is because his maiden was still there? Here's a beetle as well. It's got an incantation. Given what's around us, I think we can make an assumption about what we're going to find, right? Oh, I'd like to hit him. Oh, where did it go? I can't hit it. There we go. Frenzied Burst. It's another frenzied spell. I don't think it has anything unique to say to us, but you never know. Oh, it is different. All right, cool. So, same thing. 3 fingers, charging enhanced potencies, yada, yada, yada. In times past, every single person who attempted to control the flame of frenzy succumbed to madness after a desperate internal struggle. This incantation is a testament to a meager victory. So... it's like people would get this power, you know, they would find the Flame of Frenzy and then attempt to use it, only to ultimately, like, they would just lose in the end. And that ability to cast a spell was just a small thing that... Oh, look at that madness flowers, dude. That dude straight up exploded into madness. Immediate. So if I catch him on fire, does he just immediately explode? Oh, they do. Oh, that's so cool. I've never seen that mechanic before. But look how these guys do madness, right? It's like I said before, it's things taking on aspects of their environment. And what's around in this place? Freaking madness things. And they're man-eating flowers, so they have to be eating the flesh of those with madness. And look how crazy he got. Normally when you get them, they just kind of flail a little bit, and that's it. But he just started going absolutely nuts. Oh, get out of that, get out of that. Look how wilty and like black the petals and stuff look. Like this thing is sick. It is not like a normal flower, obviously. All right, let's talk to Hyetta.
They're special grapes which only grow on those who've been clasped by the burnt fingers, Lise. Without one, I don't.
Here you go.
Oh, a fingerprint grape, tried and true. What a wondrous thing.
Yeah, she's sounding a lot more crazy.
Oh, how sweet. Yet, how it burns. Thank you. I've composed myself again. May the blessing of the fingers be upon you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
From the bottom.
From the bottom of my heart. I'm sure I'll be a finger maiden.
And we'll see. I'm curious, you know, like, what will happen to her, right? We'll see if she's still here. She'll probably progress further, but the question is, like, where will she go? Because there's not really anywhere else to go here in Liurnia. We're at the northern end of it, right? Like, I've done a lot of running around in here without showing a lot of the, like, space in between. But, like, there's not much left. And like I said, there's, in, like, one of the last ones, there's really, like, 2 ways out of this place. Taking the lift, which, I mean, I don't know that she has the medallions. I mean, right? Like, how else is she getting out? Or taking the cave, you know, magic of gameplay and all that. But, yeah, there's not really anywhere else to go. So, like, she has to go up here. So maybe we'll find her up there. Now, for us, that's going to be it for this one, because we've completed our main task here. For the next one, I think we're going to go right over here. There's a nice little jump down we can do with this Frenzied Village. There's a tower to check out. There's an Erd tree. Nothing really super special necessarily right there. There's some interesting things in this whole section here. But this is the prize right here. Because when we look at this map we got from Fia way back, when she would speak to dear Rogier for the knife print clue. Look, there is a kind of valley thing with some tomb marked with an X, an Erd tree to the left, a tower to the right, which is exactly this spot right here. Erd tree, tower, or little tunnel, passage, valley thing, and a tower. So that's where our knife print clue is going to be at. That's what we'll do on the next one. But hey, until that one, thanks for checking it out. I always appreciate it. I hope you guys found it kind of interesting. And yeah, take care.